Welcome to Cigar Reviews and Such. Tonight I'm not going to review a particular cigar, but I am going to go over some of the cigar sizes, the four most popular cigar sizes, some of the ways that you can cut and light your cigar. And these are all what are called premium cigars, meaning that they are made of full leaves of cigars rather than chopped up leaves like machine-made cigars. These are all hand-rolled cigars, which is really remarkable. When you look at a box of premium cigars, they appear to be machine-made. They're so perfect. And to think that someone is actually taking the three parts of the cigar, the filler, the binder, and the wrapper, and creating such a beautiful piece of work that we get to burn and enjoy. So let's get into it. I'm going to take a sip. Keep my whistle wet here. Alrighty, so let's talk about the four sizes that I'd like to show you tonight. This one's tough to get out of the box because it's in there so tight, but I'll get it. Just got to be determined. This size, this is a Cohiba, which is a Dominican Republic made cigar. This happens to be a Cameroon wrapper, the Cohiba Red Dot, it's called. And this size is the Churchill. So typically Churchills are 7 inches long, and typical ring gauge on a Churchill is 50, and that's what this one is. You may find them a little smaller ring gauge, maybe a little larger, but most Churchills are 7x50s that I've seen. I'm sure there are exceptions out there. So this is the Churchill. It is named after the great British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. He was a big cigar smoker, and it's a nice long cigar. As you can see, this is kind of the classic looking, when you really want to make a point that you're smoking a cigar. The Churchill does that for you because of the length. And basically, as we're going to see, length of cigar simply means how long you get to sit and enjoy the cigar. That's really what it comes down to. So if you've got an hour and a half to 2 hours, a Churchill is a good way to go. It's a nice time to just sit back and relax. If you only have a half hour, not really worth it to light up a Churchill. So 7-inch, 50 ring gauge. That is, again, one of the more popular sizes. And we'll kind of go down the line in regards to length, and then I'll throw a little curveball when we get to the fourth cigar in our tour here. The second size, and in my experience being at the cigar lounge, probably the most popular size that I see smoked at a cigar lounge is the Toro. Now the Toro is 6 inches long, so you can see right there, they're about an inch difference. And just since I have them together, you can see this particular Toro. Oftentimes Toros are also a 50 gauge cigar, but then Toros can go 52, 54. I believe this H. Upman AJ Fernandez is a 54, if I'm not mistaken. And you can go 56, so that's a little fatter Toro. And then typically when you go to the 60 gauge Toro, it changes names to Gordo. All right, so we have the Churchill and the Toro. This one's 7 by 50 by Cohiba. This one is 6 by 54, and that's an H. Upmann cigar. So again, this is, like I said, at the cigar lounge, most times I see guys lighting up Toros. Again, if we're talking about length of time that you get to enjoy the cigar, then that one is maybe up to an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. Typically, you'll get more than an hour out of a Toro. Depends on how the cigar is rolled, but also this cigar being a 54 might last a little longer than a 50. And the next cigar in my cigar bag is the Robusto. The Robusto is a 5-inch cigar, so you can see again, compared to the Toro, 5-inch. And you can see ring gauge wise, I believe these are the same. I believe this is a 54. This is a Romeo e Giulietta, Media de Noche, something to do with the night, I believe. It's a darker wrap, as you can see. And we do see the different wrappers. This, like I said, is a Cameroon. This looks like a Habano, and this is more than likely a broadleaf. So these are 3 different wrappers, but also 3 different sizes. So there's the Churchill, the Toro, and the Robusto. And the Robusto is a little shorter smoke. Typically, you can smoke a Robusto for 45 minutes to an hour. Again, depending on how quickly you smoke and how the cigar is rolled and how it burns. Some cigars are a little aren't packed as tightly, and so they burn a little faster. But all 3 of these, by the way, are excellent cigars. I've had each of them. The 4th cigar that I'm going to show you is going to kind of throw off the pattern of getting shorter and shorter, and it's probably one of the least popular, especially at cigar lounges, because it is a thinner cigar, and I personally like this size. So this is a Corona. This is an Ave Maria, another excellent cigar, an A.J. Fernandez cigar. But you can see this Ave Maria, although it is the same length as the Toro, it's much thinner. This is probably a 44, maybe a 46 ring gauge. And so even though these are the same length, this is called a Toro and this is called a Corona. And Corona's length of time smoking probably closer to a Robusto, the shorter smoke, but it's a little fatter and thus will take a little longer to burn. But it really comes down to, when you talk to guys that are smoking, it really most times comes down to mouthfeel. And this size just feels right in my mouth. I do like 50s as well. When you start getting up into the 54, 56, 60, I'm not a big Gordo fan. I'll have one, especially if someone gives me it. But for the most part, I do like the little thinner gauge cigars. And so these 4 would be considered, or I would consider to be, the four most popular straight-sized cigars. Now, there are often different variations on these cigars. There are torpedoes where they come to a point at the cap. There are perfectos that will come a little narrow where you light them. There are double perfectos that are narrow and narrow, a little fatter in the middle. Those you might see in cartoons where it kind of looks like they actually look like more like torpedoes, but they're considered perfectos. There are a few other vitola sizes, but these I would consider to be the four most popular sized cigars. And especially when you're at the lounges, you'll see these cigars being smoked. So to review, we have the Churchill. This one's 7 by 50. Then we have the Toro. This one is 6 by 54. Then there is the Robusto. This one is 5 by 54. And then the Corona. This one is 6 by, I'm guessing, 46. And now, what do you do when you have a cigar? So most people think, well, first thing you do is light it up. Well, with premium cigars, they have what's called a cap on the top. So I have a couple inexpensive ones that I have. I usually use these to walk the dog with. This is called the General Grant, and this is a Corona size, maybe a mini Corona. But most cigars today do come in cellophane wrappers, and you'll see that oftentimes. Some cigars are not wrapped. Typically, the more expensive cigars will be in the box unwrapped. But the first thing that you have to do when you begin to smoke your cigar is cut it. And so there are a couple cutters that are pretty popular. The first one is the straight cut. And you can see it's just going to cut a straight line across that cigar. And now it's open. You can feel the draw, and it's ready to smoke. Now, while I have this one already cut, of course I would not cut it again, but for the video, I'm going to cut it again. And this time, I'm going to use the V cut. So this is a very different cutter because now it's actually going to take off a V right in the middle of the cigar. And again, just looking to open it up and get it started. So those are two ways that you can cut your cigar. The third way is called a punch. Oops, that's the wrong side. Had a 50% chance of getting it right. And a punch, as you can see, it's just a little punch. You would stick it in the end of the cigar, wind it up, pull it out, and get rid of that little end. So those are three ways to get your cigar started. Some guys pinch off the cap at the top. Some guys bite them off, but us more civilized guys do it this way. And then I happen to have a very special cutter here. I'm going to bring it to center stage. This was given to me by my son and my son-in-law, who went to Italy, and they went to this cigar shop and they saw this on the counter and they thought of me, and I'm a blessed man, so they bought it for me. Let's see how close I can get to getting it into the ashtray. But this is a guillotine, straight cut. And there it is. This cigar has been cut more than it should ever be cut. But this one, you gotta be fancy for this one. Actually, I might have been able to fit it into that hole. I don't think so. Gives you a couple different holes that you can put it in depending on the size of your cigar. So that's the way you get started when you first get to your lounge. Got to remember to wet my whistle. Okay, so now that we've got it cut and it's ready to burn, we light it up. So of course, your first option is the least expensive way to light your cigar, because as you can see, I got this from a cigar shop. They just hand them to you if you need them, and that is with a match. Okay, that's the classic way. A classy way is to take a cedar stick and to light that up, and then use that cedar stick to light your cigar. That's pretty classy. I think I've only done that once in my backyard, and it's just too classy for me. Another way is with a soft flame. So classic looking flame, a regular lighter. Even though this lighter is a butane lighter, it is a soft flame. Most soft flames these days, or soft flames in the past, you would use lighter fluid, but now there's butane, which burns a little cleaner. And then you have the torch or jet lighter. And that's just a beast. Obviously, any conditions, indoor, outdoor, that is going to light your cigar. And these torches, these jet flames, this is a quad, so there's 4 flames coming up. They come in single flame, double flame, triple flame, quad. There may be more out there, I don't know, but you certainly don't need any more than that. So that's the basic paraphernalia that you have, or basic tools that you have when you're out at a cigar lounge or out in public smoking your cigar, or out in your backyard. And then this here is really a wonderful gift that I got from my son-in-law for Christmas. This bag is just really nice that you can bring this into a lounge, bring it with you if you're visiting friends and having a cigar. And obviously it's got 4 compartments for cigars, but it also came with these wonderful tools. So this actually, it came with this straight cutter, and come to think of it, all these things that I have are gifts. This my daughter gave to me this past Christmas. This I just like this one. It's just a simple cut, and your fingers stay in there, and it's like using a pair of scissors. But again, it's a straight cut. And this happens to be one of my favorite lighters of all the extra lighters that I've gotten. And this one has a little punch on the end. You'll find oftentimes different lighters, especially. It might be a cutter, lighter, punch, cigar holder. Could be a million things. This one is just a lighter with a punch, and this is a two flame. And it's really been my most consistent lighter. Now you might be looking at this long object and wondering what in the world that is. And I have 2 of them, but I'm going to show you this one because I just really love this one. They both have similar features. One of them is, for this one, is just turning, and you have a narrow punch on this side. So that would be more for like the cigars that I showed you. Maybe you would use that for this Corona, or maybe the 50 ring gauge Churchill. But then when you went to that 54 ring gauge, like the Robusto and the Toro that I had, you might go to this punch, which, as you can see, is a little wider. So you got the wide punch on one side and the narrow punch on the other side. So either of those would work. But wait, there's more. This actually could be an infomercial for this product. Oftentimes when you have a cigar, I shouldn't say oftentimes, it's really happened rarely for me, but so we'll say sometimes when you're having a cigar, the draw isn't good. There's something stuck in there. You're sucking on it like a straw, and you just can't get any smoke out of it, and it makes it very frustrating and not as enjoyable. And now I got tobacco in my mouth, so if that ever happens, this has go in, you try to break through wherever that thing is holding you up, and you just have to make sure that you go straight through, because if you come out the side of your cigar, it's time to throw that one in the garbage and start over again. But this is a really valuable tool if you ever have a tight draw on a cigar. So on one side of this, you're fixing a cigar that you're not enjoying. On the other side of this, it gives you the opportunity to enjoy a cigar until the bitter end. And that is this little corn on the cob looking holder that you poke into the end of your cigar. If you just have a nub and your fingers are starting to burn a little bit and you want to get a few more puffs out of it, you can use this to keep that one going until the bitter end. So really valuable tool. And the wonderful thing, like I mentioned, about these tools, especially this case here that I received as a gift, it all came just like this. I mean, it's great. It had a cutter, a lighter, and then this multi-tool to keep your experience with your cigars positive. So we'll call this one 101, but I will do more of these where we can talk about the other sizes, the more unique sizes, the less popular size cigars. I'll bring out some different cutters and lighters that I have just to show you that there are a lot of ways to enjoy smoking a cigar. And like I've shared already, it's just a source of peace that I have. But my main source of peace is casting all my cares upon the Lord, because he cares for me. And I encourage you to do the same. Jesus said that the peace that he gives, the world can't give it, and the world can't take it away. And I hope you find that in your life, like I found it in mine. It certainly hasn't been through cigar smoking, but that's added another dimension of peace to my life that I really enjoy. So I hope to see you again. Thanks for coming by to Cigar Reviews and such.